Hi. Some of you missed my sermon from last week about Jesus and the pigs. I'm not going to do the whole sermon here because it's weird to just preach to a video and I'm still getting used to that. I'm also not going to read you the whole text, but go to Luke 8 and read the story. I'm going to talk about the story, and I want you to think through with me about what is weird in that story. And so I'm not just staring at you the whole time. I'm going to put some of that stuff on the whiteboard behind me. So, what's weird in this story? The first weird thing that we notice is that Jesus is hanging out with pigs and tombs and unclean people, right? Because that demoniac was naked, and Jewish people aren't supposed to, especially in that time, right? Aren't supposed to look at naked people, aren't supposed to go where tombs are, and certainly aren't supposed to hang out with pigs. And Jesus was around all of that stuff. The second weird thing, there's a lot of weird stuff in this text, right? But the second weird thing is that when the demons are leaving Jesus, leaving this man, they ask him a favor. They ask Jesus, can we go to pigs, right? And you would think that Jesus would not be inclined to do a favor for demons, right? But Jesus listens to demons. What's up with that? We need to make sense of that, right? Now, when Jesus listens to the demons, they all rush down the hill, right? And go into the abyss, and we think, good, pigs, unclean, that's supposed to happen, right? But think of that poor swineherd, that pig farmer, probably not Jewish, by the way, right? He's just doing his job, and all his pigs are dead. He is wiped out. What's the deal with the great loss of property and of value and the unfairness in it happening to that man? The last thing that I want you to think of is the very end of the story. At the end of the story, this demonized man, this man who had been hurt by his community, chained up by his community, excluded from his community, is healed, and he wants to go with Jesus, right? And Jesus says, no. Oh, even before that, right? All of the people that see what Jesus did and that healing, they ask him to leave, which probably isn't that unusual considering it's scary, that kind of spiritual power, and all those pigs just got destroyed, right? But when they ask Jesus to leave, Jesus says yes. So our last weird thing is that Jesus leaves, but the man can't. It literally says that he begged to let Jesus take him with him. But Jesus said, no, instead, go back to your own city and tell people what God has done for you. So, what do we do with all this stuff? What do we do with Jesus going to this place, right? Well, when we read the text, we see that it uses this really neat double entendre. It says that the Gerasenes was opposite Galilee, right? Which is literally true. It's on the other side of the lake, but they didn't say the other side of the lake. They said opposite Galilee. All of this stuff isn't acceptable in Galilee, right? But this place across the lake wasn't Jewish space, so it all happened there. And that's a reminder to me, like the application that I'm taking from this is that when we decide that stuff is unclean, right, we usually don't clean it up, we push it away. And when we push it away, it goes somewhere else, but it's still there, right? And so in our efforts, in our lives, we try to push away unclean stuff. Not saying we should, but we do, right? And we just make it go somewhere else. It's still there. And then even in those places, right, there's tombs, there's pigs, and there's this demon-possessed man, right? And the tombs and the pigs, they weren't so bad, because there is this demon-possessed man, right? So even in the unclean place, the unclean people find the guy that is the most unclean and put all of their energy, hate, problems on him. So if you go to a prison, that's a place where supposedly it's all criminals, right? If you go to a hospital, it's a place that's supposedly all sick people, right? But even in the hospital, even in the jail, there's the one guy that's the guy that's really to be avoided. There's the one person that's the problem. And it goes the other way, right? Somewhere at Harvard, and I don't know a lot of people at Harvard, right? But it's all the elites, the richest, the smartest, the best, right? But you put together the whole group of the best people, and somebody is a loser in Hollywood. There are losers in Hollywood, right? Somebody is a loser at Harvard. No matter where we go, we repeat this cycle of choosing an unclean person and pushing them to the margins. So when we see the tombs and the pigs and the unclean man, we're reminded that we can never, ever solve this problem by pushing it away. So the other weird thing in this text is that Jesus listens to the demons, right? And that poor pig farmer, right? He lost thousands of dollars probably, right? And well, what do we do with that? Why is Jesus so unfair to this farmer in putting all of the demons in his pigs? Well, nobody asked why it was unfair to this man that all of the demons got put on him, right? And so the demons go from the man to the pigs, and we get to see the real cost of demonization, right? When we demonize a person, when we put all of our problems on a person, and I'm referring to part 1 of the sermon, so go watch that, but there's a real cost to that. And it was hard to see the cost when it was all borne by one person. So that cost got transferred, and it got transferred to many pigs. Now think for a second, the price that we pay for demonization in our country. We spend a whole lot of money keeping people that are sick away from people that are healthy. We spend a whole lot of money locking people up in jails and in prisons. And we spend a whole lot of money even before people get in jails and in prisons on security apparatuses and different means of keeping people apart. And of course, we can't forget that when this demon, or more specifically these demons, named themselves, they called themselves Legion, because they are many. And of course, Legion is a Roman military unit, about 3,000 soldiers, right? So our military is part of this demonization. There's something other, there's something bad, and we need to keep it pushed away from us. We spend a ton of money on our military system, our hospitals, on our incarceration, criminal justice system, and even nonprofits, right? People like me. Part of the reason that I get paid is you go see the people that we don't want to see, and that keeps us separate. People in these systems, this economy of demonization, aren't necessarily bad people with bad motivations, right? We're trying to help people. But it doesn't change that we, and I say we, I make money off of demonization. And the cost got moved from this man to these pigs. And if you're a Christian and you're watching this, you know that the cost still moves. It's not just borne by the man. It's not just borne by the pigs. But eventually the cost gets borne by Jesus Christ. Cursed is anyone who dies on a cross. All of our curses, all of our demonization ultimately finds its way back to Jesus. So if we don't quit our demonization because of our own self-interest and how much money that could be better spent on other things we spend on demonization, maybe we quit our demonization because of our identity, because we belong to Jesus and we're hurting who we are. At the end of the story, Jesus leaves, and this man wants to go with him, and he can't. I get this guy. He wants to follow Jesus. He wants to be with Jesus. He's been tormented his whole life by these other people in his town, and Jesus is telling him to stay with the people in this town. Why? Right? Why not follow Jesus? In the story, the action follows the pig farmers that head off and go to the city and the town and bring everybody back. And when they get back, Jesus is sitting and he's talking to the man. And this is where I've got a real beef with the Bible, right? Luke doesn't write down the conversation that this man has with Jesus. Now, we can complain that we don't know what's said, or we can use it as an opportunity for some imagination. So yes, this isn't gospel truth, but here's what I'm imagining Jesus saying. Hey, I know you want to go with me, and I get it. These people have been horrible to you, and I'm the first person that's been nice to you. But you don't know where I'm going, right? Where I'm going is to Galilee, because they think that all that uncleanliness is over here, and there's just as much over there. And the way that they're going to see it is because they're going to put it all on me and my followers. And you've already done that. I don't want you to do that again. Instead, I want you to do what I did, what I'm going to do after they put all of their curse on me. I'm going to live a resurrection life. I'm going to be healed. I'm going to show that the demonized one is the one whom God loves. So when you go out there and people try to say, oh, that's the guy that had the demon, right? I wonder if he's still messed up. You just say, here I am. I'm good and I'm well. And it's because God loves me. The economies of this world, a lot of people profit off of the idea that demonized people deserve it and aren't loved by God. And if you're a former demonized person, all you have to do is be loved, be healthy, and say, look what God has done for me. And if you're a person that still struggles with demonizing other people, stop and count the cost. Remember that you're not just doing it to some other, you're doing it to Jesus. And the message of the gospel is that God does it for those people, the demonized ones. Brothers and sisters, thanks for taking time to watch me on the video. If you want to be kind and support Lafayette Ave Presbyterian Church, we do this every week, and we try to create a community of folks that are following Jesus and figuring this out on the way.